Have you ever wondered what the most terrible insect invasions in history were? Imagine billions of tiny creatures swarming the skies, covering the land, and consuming everything in their path. These invasions are not just the stuff of science fiction. They're a very real part of our world's history, and they've had profound impacts on ecosystems, agriculture, and human life. Insects, often seen as small and insignificant, can band together in colossal numbers, causing catastrophic damage. They can sweep through farmlands, reducing crops to nothing but barren stalks. They can disrupt ecosystems, outcompeting native species and altering habitats. They can even pose threats to human health, transmitting diseases and causing widespread panic. In the annals of history, several insect invasions stand out for their sheer scale and the devastation they wrought. From ancient plagues to modern infestations, these invasions have left indelible marks on humanity and the planet. Join us as we delve into the annals of history to uncover the 5 most notorious insect invasions. Our journey begins in the 10th century BC with the biblical locust plagues of Egypt. This was no ordinary locust swarm, but an invasion that blanketed the skies and the land, turning day into night and green fields into barren wastelands. Locusts, a type of grasshopper known for their migratory behavior and voracious appetite, descended upon Egypt in such numbers that they've been etched into history and mythology alike. The locusts devoured everything in their path, from the grains in the field to the leaves on the trees. Nothing was spared. Egypt, a civilization heavily dependent on its agriculture, found itself at the mercy of these winged invaders. The economic impact was catastrophic, causing a famine that lasted for years. The loss was not just monetary, but a blow to the lifeblood of this ancient civilization. Historical accounts and biblical narratives alike paint a vivid picture of this plague. According to the book of Exodus in the Bible, the plague of locusts was so severe that it covered the face of the whole land, so that the land was darkened. It ate every plant of the land and all the fruit of the trees. There was not a green thing left. The scale and severity of this invasion were unprecedented. The locusts swarmed in billions, a sea of insects blanketing the horizon, consuming everything in sight. This was not a one-off event, but a repeated onslaught that lasted for months, perhaps even years. The locusts, driven by a complex combination of biological and environmental factors, invaded again and again, each time leaving behind a trail of destruction. This biblical plague set a precedent for the fear and devastation insect invasions can cause. The locust plagues of Egypt serve as a stark reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human civilizations in the face of such overwhelming forces. The echoes of this ancient invasion still reverberate today, reminding us of the potential for devastation that lies in the tiny bodies of these insects. Fast forward to the 1850s, the Colorado potato beetle wreaked havoc across the United States. This tiny yet formidable insect, native to the southwestern United States, made its way eastward, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Its favorite food? The humble potato. The Colorado potato beetle, with its distinct yellow and black stripes, is not a fussy eater. It's not just the leaves it feasts on, but the entire potato plant from the roots to the shoots. This insatiable appetite resulted in widespread devastation of potato crops, a staple food for many Americans at the time. Imagine the horror of the farmers as they watched their fields of lush green potato plants transformed into barren wastelands. The beetle invasion was not just a threat to the farmers' livelihoods, but it also led to severe food supply issues. Potatoes, being a major source of sustenance, were suddenly in short supply. Prices soared and the impact was felt far and wide, from the humble kitchens of rural farmhouses to the bustling markets of big cities. Desperate times called for desperate measures. The invasion necessitated the development of new farming practices and pest control measures. Farmers began crop rotation, a practice of growing different types of crops in the same area in sequenced seasons, to break the life cycle of the beetles. Chemical pesticides were also introduced to control the beetle population. This marked the beginning of modern pest management practices. The Colorado potato beetle invasion was a grim chapter in the history of American agriculture. It was a wake-up call to the destructive power of nature's smallest creatures. Despite the challenges, it also sparked innovation and led to the development of new farming practices that are still in use today. This invasion served as a stark reminder of the destructive power of small creatures. As we move forward, it's important to remember that even the smallest of creatures can have a profound impact on our world. At the end of the 19th century, the south of United States faced a new enemy, the Boll weevil. This small beetle, no larger than a pencil eraser, proved to be a formidable foe. Originating from Mexico, it crossed the Rio Grande around the 1890s with an insatiable appetite for cotton buds and flowers. Imagine this scenario: vast fields of cotton as far as the eye can see, a symbol of prosperity and wealth. Then enter the boll weevil. These tiny beetles bore into the cotton bolls to lay their eggs. When the larvae hatch, they feed on the bolls, causing widespread devastation. In a few short years, the boll weevil infestation swept across the southern states, leaving ruin in its wake. The economic impact was staggering. Cotton was the South's primary cash crop, a cornerstone of the region's economy. As the boll weevil infestation decimated cotton fields, it sent shockwaves through the southern economy. Farmers who had once enjoyed prosperous yields watched in despair as their livelihoods crumbled. The economic turmoil was palpable, with losses estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Yet, in the face of this destruction, something remarkable happened. Farmers, driven by necessity, began to diversify their crops. They started planting peanuts, soybeans, and other crops that were resistant to the boll weevil. This diversification not only helped farmers survive the boll weevil infestation, but also led to a more sustainable and diverse agricultural economy in the South. In a twist of irony, the boll weevil, once seen as the enemy, became a catalyst for change. The Boll Weevil Monument in Enterprise, Alabama, stands as a testament to this. It's a statue of a woman holding a boll weevil high above her head, honoring the insect that forced the South to break its dependence on cotton. The boll weevil invasion marked a turning point in Southern agriculture, forcing change in the face of destruction. It's a story of resilience and adaptation, a testament to the human spirit's ability to innovate and overcome adversity. In the 1930s, the southern United States faced another insect nightmare, the fire ant. This small but formidable creature, hailing from South America, sneaked its way into the United States through cargo ships. Once disembarked, the fire ants wasted no time in making the South their new home, wreaking havoc on both the local ecosystems and the human population. The impact on the ecosystem was profound. Fire ants, with their aggressive nature and voracious appetite, began to outcompete native species for resources. Their colonies grew rapidly, and soon the landscape was dotted with their distinctive mounds. Birds, reptiles, and insects that once thrived in these areas found themselves in the midst of a hostile takeover. The fire ants didn't just compete, they dominated, altering the balance of the ecosystem and pushing some species to the brink of local extinction. But the fire ants didn't stop at the ecosystem. They took their invasion to the human population as well. Known for their painful bites, they posed a significant threat to human health. A single fire ant sting is painful enough, but these ants often attack en masse, turning a minor nuisance into a serious health risk. People working in the fields or children playing outdoors often found themselves on the receiving end of these attacks. For some, the bites resulted in severe allergic reactions, leading to serious medical conditions and, in rare cases, even death. The fire ant invasion of the 1930s didn't just disrupt the ecosystem and pose a threat to human health, it also had economic implications. Damage to agriculture, increased healthcare costs, and the expense of control measures added up, costing the southern states millions of dollars annually. The fire ant invasion proved that even insects could have a significant impact on human life. It demonstrated that the smallest of creatures could, when introduced into a new environment, disrupt the balance of ecosystems, impact human health, and even have far-reaching economic consequences. It's a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our world and the potential impact of tiny invaders. Our final stop takes us to the 1990s, where the Asian longhorned beetle made headlines. This beetle, native to China and the Korean peninsula, hitched a ride to North America in wooden packaging material. Once here, it found a veritable buffet in the hardwood trees of the United States and Canada. The Asian longhorned beetle has a voracious appetite for maple, elm, willow, and other hardwoods. Its larvae bore into the heartwood of trees, disrupting their water and nutrient transport systems, causing severe damage and often tree death. By the late 90s, this beetle had infested areas of New York, Illinois, and later Toronto, causing the removal of over 30,000 trees. However, it was not left unchecked. the United States and Canada launched aggressive eradication programs involving tree removal, quarantines, and public education. The fight continues even now, with the hope of preventing this beetle from dining on North America's forests. This recent invasion reminds us that the threat of insect invasions remains a present concern even today.